Alright, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to begin this lesson by giving all glory, all honor, and all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rachach Kodash, Barakatam, giving double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who surely do rule well. To the men standing by the highways and byways pushing this doctrine, we like to say Shalom. And even unto the sincere Akwat, the sisters who sit listen these lessons in silence, subjection, and obedience unto their husbands, we like to say Shalom. Alright, there's a brother here, Maya Sha'ala, come back again to bring a little bit of edification. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. And the topic today, we'll start with this question. What the 5W and H, which is to say, what are the 5Ws and H? The 5Ws and H, who, what, when, where, why, and how, are a foundational framework for gathering information, investigating, or analyzing situations by ensuring all critical details are covered. Popularized as reporters' questions, they are used in journalism, research, and problem solving to create comprehensive reports. Here's the breakdown of the 5Ws and H. Who identifies the person, group, or organization involved. What describes the event, subject, or problem that occurred. When specifies the time, date, or sequence of events. Where pinpoints the location or setting. Why explains the reasons, causes, or purposes behind the event. How details the method, process, or manner in which something happened. These questions are often attributed to a poem by Rudyard Kipling, are essential for thorough communication and research. And based on all this information here, I would like to do a lesson explaining 5Ws and H of our deliverance/salvation. And the first question up that we have to answer is the who. Who is the one who is going to deliver and or save us? Right? This is the book of Matthew, chapter 1, verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Yahushai, for he shall save his people from their sins. So what? We understand here that the person who was given the omen, the nomen omen as we like to call it, and tasked with the task of giving us or delivering us or bringing salvation to his people, the nation of Israel, because we have to understand as well, before we even continue, that salvation is solely for the nation of Israel. Isaiah 45 and verse 15. Verily thou art a power that hidest thyself, O power of Israel, the Savior. So we understand that what the person who gave the task to Yahushai to do this is Yahweh, his Father. They shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them, being the heathens, the rest of the other nations, and also the 2/3 of the nation of Israel, and the rebels. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. So we understand that world that was spoken of in the book of John chapter 3 verse 16 has to be speaking about the nation of Israel, but that is a topic for another time, right? So understanding this, who is the one that is set to save us? It's Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and Yahushai was the one who was given the task. The book of it's Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 18. In that day shall 5 cities, Isaiah 19 and 18, in that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan, which is a prophecy about the Hebrew language. Right, the language of Canaan is the Phoenician Canaanite, or as we call it in the Hebrew, the Lashon Kodash, the holy tongue. and swear to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. So this Egypt here is speaking about who is what? America, right? And this speak the language of Canaan, being 5 cities. This would indicate that it's not the entirety of the nation or the entirety of everybody that would have existed in this place is going to be speaking the language of Canaan, speaking the Hebrew and going back to the roots, the heritage. It's only a specific number of people, right? In that day there shall be an altar to Yahweh in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. It shall be for a sign and for a witness unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua of hosts in the land of Egypt, for they shall cry unto Yahweh because of the oppressors, and he shall send them a Savior and a great one, and he shall deliver them. And we know he's going to be the one who is set to deliver them. 1 Corinthians 15 and verse 23. But every man in his own order, Mashiach Yahushai, the first fruits, afterward they that are Mashiachs at his coming. Then cometh the end, when he shall have delivered up the kingdom to power, even the Father, when he shall have put down all rule and all authority and power. So what? He is the one that is tasked with the job of answering this who question. Who's the one who's going to deliver us? It's Yahushai. And where is this deliverance set to take place? Right? First precept on that is Jeremiah chapter 32, and we're going to read from verse 37. Behold, I will gather them out of all the countries. So we understand that this salvation here is a worldwide thing, but when we get deeper into it, we understand that there's a place that there is said to be a main deliverance, right? Pinpointing specifically where. Behold, I will gather them out of all the countries whither I have driven them in mine anger, and in my fury, and in great wrath, and I will bring them again unto this place, and I will cause them to dwell safely. And they shall be my people, and I will be their power. And I will give them one heart and one way, that they may fear me forever, for the good of them and of their children after them. Right? And I will make an everlasting covenant with them. So we understand that this salvation has something to do with the new covenant, that I will not turn away from them to do them good, but I will put my fear in their hearts, that they shall not depart from me. But as verse 37 says, the point, they are going to be delivered out of all the countries whither the Lord had driven us. And where is this main place that we've been driven? Isaiah 11 would have said, Isaiah 11 and verse 11, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again, being his right hand, Yahweh shall sit at the right hand of the Father, the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt, and from Pathros and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So again, we understand there is said to be a worldwide deliverance. But where is the main deliverance going to happen? This is the book of Micah 4 and verse 10. Be in pain and labor to bring forth, O daughter of Zion, like a woman in travail. And funny enough, this deliverance is likened unto that, because what? When a woman is in labor, what do they say? She is about to deliver a baby. So this baby is going to be delivered. For now shalt thou go forth out of the city, Jerusalem, and thou shalt dwell in the field, when we were in the interior coast of Africa, and thou shalt go even to Babylon. Now we'll understand is what we are about to read, these scriptures, they're going to make spiritual likening and spiritual reference to these places, or to that place that the main deliverance is said to happen. But that's all. It's spiritually likened like that. But you're not going to be delivered specifically out of Babylon, and that is the main deliverance. That place is speaking about America, because America is in the spirit of all these places. Whether we think about spiritual Egypt, think about spiritually Babylon, we think about spiritually Assyria, spiritually Sodom and Gomorrah, all these places. Babylon, or mystery Babylon, as I believe is Revelation 17 and 5 puts it, is what that is really speaking about America, right? Shall go even to Babylon, which is America, there shalt thou be delivered, there the Lord shall redeem thee from the hand of thine enemies, right? Another precept here, there is Revelation 18 and verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come up out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plague. So who is this her? This her is that whore that sits upon the beast, America, Babylon the Great. There's Psalms 91. Let me see here. Right. Psalms 91 and verse 8. Only with thine eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked. So when the salvation does take place, it's going to be a worldwide televised event, but also the ones actually getting saved are going to what? Are going to be able to see the destruction of the place that they're going to be saved out of, and that place is America. Also, a precept now coming to my mind here. Is it land of the north? All right. Let's see which one I want to get here. Yep. There's Jeremiah 16, and we read from verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, which is what speaking about these North Americas, but specifically Babylon, or Salakia, specifically America, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So we understand who is going to deliver us and where this main deliverance is set to take place. But we also want to understand is when is this deliverance going to take place. Now, the book of Acts, chapter 1, and from verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, being the disciples, asking the Lord, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? Because we had to understand as well, at the deliverance of the nation of Israel, this is when again, as the new covenant said, I will bring them again into the land of their fathers. So we understand that what? Restoring the kingdom, the rulership to the nation of Israel and bringing them back into the land is the result of the deliverance, right? And he said unto them, It is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father had put in his own power. So what? The only person who could give you the specific day, as in day, month, year, of when Yahushai is set to return, is the Father. It is acceptable year. Right? Down there, Isaiah 61, I'll read from verse. Yep, Isaiah 61 from 1. The Spirit of Yahweh power is upon me, because Yahweh had anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He had sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim the liberty to the captives and open the prison to them that are bound. And even when we look at these people who he's preaching to, he's what? He's preaching to the brokenhearted, to the captives, and them that are bound, which is what? People who need deliverance, who need to be saved. Even when you go into the word deliver, and I did this before I started this video, I'd have looked up the word deliver in the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And when you look up that word, it means what? To be set free. You can only set people free who are captive, right? So what? Verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of vengeance of our power, to comfort all that mourn. So it has to be a year accepted by the Lord. It is every year the apostle Taha would what? Name the year, and we hope every year that this is the acceptable year of the Lord and the year when we finally get up and get the fuck out of here. But what? That day, time, and hour, know it no man. Even the Lord said it. Know it no man. Let me see, Father. Right? Matthew 24. Because I believe that would be Matthew 24 and 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? So we understand when he comes, it is the end of the world that he's coming. Now that's when he's coming. There's let's see. Matthew 24 and Matthew 24 and 36. But of that day, so the disciples would have asked, when you're coming, right? And he said, but of that day when he does return, an hour knoweth no man, no, not the angels of heaven, but my Father only. So not even Yahweh knows when the Father is going to tell him, get up off of his throne on the right hand and go down here and save us. Lord willing, we be a part of the elect. Not even Yahweh knows, none of the angels know, and definitely none of us knows when he's going to come back. But we have clues, because what? The prophecies, we understand, as would have just read in that Matthew 24:3, the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world, because as 2 Ezra 6 and verses 9 put it, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. And we know the one who's going to start the beginning of Jacob's world is Yahweh. So when Yahweh comes, he's coming at the end of Esau's world, specifically as stated again in that 1 Corinthians 15. Then come at the end when he shall have delivered up the kingdom. So we understand it's around the time when the end time prophecies are set to play off that we can expect to see Yahweh return. There's what? The book of 2 Ezra 13. 2 Ezra 13 and verses, let's see, verse, is it, I believe it's 31. Let's see here. Let's see, Son revealed. Revealed. Second is just 13 and verse. Right, so like not revealed, declared. The second is just 13 and verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my Son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. So we understand that there is a day that the Lord is going to declare that this is my Son in whom I am very well pleased, and the whole world is going to know. As it said, every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Yahweh Mashiach is Lord, to the glory of the Father. And we also know that he's going to be here at the end of the world, because he's the one who's going to administer the judgment for the final end time prophecy. Revelation 14 and verse 9. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, speaking about the prophecy, Revelation 13, 16 to 18, and no man might buy or sell, free or born, rich or poor, save he that had the mark in his forehead or in his right hand, roughly paraphrasing. Verse 10, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of power, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. Right, so we understand, as pursuant to this prophecy here, at the end of Esau's world, which is the judgment of the result of anybody who takes this mark, when that great city is brought down, the hammer, the earth is cut asunder, we understand that as pursuant to verse 10, the last seven words, and in the presence of the Lamb. So he has to be here to administer the judgment, or witness rather, the administering of the judgment, and he also will be bringing judgment as well with the chariots, which we're going to get into later in this video. He is also going to bring part of the judgment as a result of the ones who would have taken the mark of the beast. So, and we understand very well that we living in the times of the mark of the beast, the rumors of wars and the wars we see in the earth, blase, blase, blah. So we understand is, right now, we're very close to seeing the return of the Son of Man, whether you believe it or not. And even though we don't know the exact date, we know surrounding the prophecies that would be surrounding his return, we understand that it is very close, right? So when specifically, we can't get time and date and place, of course, but we understand that there is a set day that he is supposed to come back, and we understand that that day is very close. Wait, is that be more? I believe is Joel 1. Joel 1 and verse 15. Alas, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and at that day is when Yahweh is set to return. And as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. So we understand who is coming to bring the deliverance. We understand where the deliverance, especially the main deliverance, is going to take place. We even understand when. We have a broad scope, as the book says. We know in part, we prophesy in part, we understand the prophecy surrounding broadly when he's set to come back. But, why or what, Salakia, are the elect set to be delivered from, right? Is, as this precept puts it, and as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. So what are they going to be delivered from? Is the destruction of the Almighty God that is set to come upon the earth. Because what? That is Ezekiel 9, right? Because we understand there is a set number of people identified as the elect in the scriptures that will be spared from this judgment. Ezekiel 9 and 4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. So again, we understand salvation is being centered around Jerusalem, Israel, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all abominations that be done in the midst thereof. So what? We understand that destruction is coming, and what their men marked and said to be spared from that judgment. So what are they being spared from? The destruction of the Almighty, the reward of the wicked, as the Psalms 91 puts it. There is Revelation 11 and verse 13. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, which this earthquake happened when? Why? Because it happened as a result of the nuclear blast. And the 10th part of the city fell, And in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. So everyone who didn't get away died. And the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the power of heaven. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. So what are they being saved from is the judgment of the third woe. There's Isaiah 1 and verse 13. Isaiah 13 and verse 1, Salakia. The burden of Babylon, so again the place where the deliverance is set to happen, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand, that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, being the prophets. I have also called my mighty ones, being the angels, for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua of hosts mustered the hosts of the battle. Again, why is it known as the day of the Lord? Because he's the one that's causing it. The destruction of the Almighty, as a destruction from the Almighty shall it come. So what? He's the one that's going to cause the events that the elect has to be saved from. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, being what? The weapons of the Lord, even the Lord, Yahweh Shai, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. So what? The weapons of the Lord, the nuclear missiles, and his chariots. Holy, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, and it shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. So what are the elect going to be saved from? Is the destruction from the Almighty power, Yahweh. And why will they be saved from it? Well, ultimately because they did their job. And I'll even read 2 Ezra 2. I'll read this one first, right? This 2 Ezra 2 and verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold, the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord, Yahweh. Right? So what they're speaking about the elect, right? They verse 47. So he answered me, and so he answered and said unto me, I'll even read from verse 44, Salakia. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of power. Now are they crowned and receive palms. So they were rewarded, right, for confessing the name of the Most High power. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them, and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of power, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. So what is the first thing we understand about the elect? Is that what they stood stiffly for the name of the Lord. And as a result, they were rewarded. As Revelation, I believe, 3 puts it. 3:10. Right, verses 11 and 12. Behold, I come quickly. Hold fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh, and what did they overcome? The hour of temptation, as Revelation 3:10 puts it. Will I make a pillar in the temple of my power? He shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my power, and the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my power, and I will write upon him my new name. So because they were able to stand against all the wiles of the devil, is why they were delivered. And again, there were a lot of things that they did do that caused their deliverance as well. And it is tied to name as well, because what? Psalms 91 and verse 9, because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High thy habitation. They dwelt in the Lord. If ye shall abide in me, and I in you, right? there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling. Again, ultimately, the ultimate plague, that's Zechariah 14:12. And it's what? I believe is because he had known my name. Psalms 91 verse 14. Because he had set his love upon me, therefore will I deliver him. So you have to love the Lord. Upon all the law and all the prophets hang these two commandments. Love the Lord with all thy soul, with all thy heart, and with all thy might, and love thy neighbor as ye love thyself. Right? Therefore will I deliver him. I will set him on high, because he had known my name. Even more. Give diligence. Right? They 2 Peter 1:10. Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure. For if ye do these things, ye shall never fall. For so an entrance shall be ministered unto you abundantly into the everlasting kingdom of our Lord and Savior, Yahushua Mashiach. So what? We understand, because the elect were diligent, because the elect trusted in the name of the Lord, because the elect loved the Lord, because the elect stood so stiffly for the Lord, they were delivered. Even when I go to the book of Zechariah, and in fact I'll read that precept last. One more precept is Ezekiel 14, right? The Ezekiel 14 and verse 14. Though these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they should deliver but their own souls by their righteousness. Their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh power. Jumping down to verse 18. Though these three men were in it, as I live, saith Yahweh power, they shall deliver neither sons nor daughters, but they only shall be delivered themselves. Or if I send a pestilence into that land, and pour out my fury upon it in blood, to cut off from it man and beast, though Noah, Daniel, and Job were in it, as I live, said Yahweh power, they shall deliver neither son nor daughter, they shall but deliver their own souls by their righteousness. Even when you go to the book of 1 Maccabees 2, and it's 58, 59, Ananias, Azarias, and Misael, by believing, was saved out of the flames. So ultimately, they're going to do what? They're going to believe in the salvation. They're going to believe in the resurrection, the death, burial, and resurrection of Yahushua. They're going to believe in that. And that is why they're going to be saved, because they believed. What is Zechariah 13 and verse 8, right? And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die. So what the judgment coming? But the third shall be left therein. And this speaking about again America, Babylon. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and I will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. So again, they stood stiffly against all the affliction that shall come upon the earth, right? And they came out pure. They shall call on my name. Again, the key, the name, they shall call on it, and I will hear them. I will say it is my people, and they shall say, Yahweh is my power. Again, what? The elect shall praise his holy name, Sirach 17 and 10. And because they praise his holy name, were they delivered. So we understand where they're going to be delivered, around the earth, the four corners of the earth, as Matthew 24 as well puts it, but also the main deliverance is going to happen in Babylon, Micah 4:10. When they're going to be delivered, we don't know the exact date, time, and place, but we understand, exact date and time and year, but we understand that there is an exact date, time, and year. And we understand the prophecy surrounding that time. We understand close, we're very close right now. Then we understand who is going to deliver them, being Yahushua, the one tasked with this deliverance. We understand why they're going to be delivered. Because they believed, because they loved the Lord, because they trusted in the Lord, because they believed in his name, and all these things. They stood stiffly against all the wiles of the devil, because what? Revelation 12:12, behold, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, for he knoweth that he had but a short time. So what? In that wrath that the devil is coming down upon them with, they still survived through it. They still believed and they didn't faint. They went through it and they stood stiffly. We understand also why they were delivered, right? And what they were delivered from again is that destruction. Now, the last question to answer is how they are going to be delivered. As Habakkuk 3 and verse 8 puts it, was Yahweh displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou didst ride upon thine horses and thy chariots of salvation? And what we know, as pursuant to Revelation 6, it speaks about a man on a horse, a white horse, representing pure power, white pure, and horse representing power. That what he went forth conquering and to conquer. So we know this man being Yahweh, he has a white horse. But what is that? That's the chariots of salvation, which is Matthew 24 puts it. He's coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And then all the tribes of the earth gonna mourn. There's Isaiah 26 and verse 20. Come, my people, enter into thy chambers and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth, Yahweh Bashem Yoshai, for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. So what? They're going to be saved by the chariots. The chariots is a tool or instrument of salvation that the Lord is going to use to deliver his elect, right? And one more here. And I'll read the Matthew 24, right? 24 and from verse 27. For as the lightning cometh out of the east and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together also. And this is another dark saying, that carcass being the elect, that Colossians 3:3, for your life, for this one, I'll read it, not to butcher it. Colossians 3 verse 3. For ye are dead, and your life is hid with Mashiach, and being what? Dead to this world. Right? Matthew 24, verse 28. So what? That for wheresoever the carcass is, being the spiritually dead elect, in the sense to say the dead to this world, the minds, they cut the minds off from this world. So what? Anyway, these eagles, there will the eagles be gathered together. The eagles being what? The angels, the chariots. As in Psalms 91 poet, his angel, he will give his angels charge over thee to bear thee up, lest thou dash thy foot against thy stone. So what? The angel is going to be looking around the earth in the four corners of the earth when the Lord Yahweh descends with that shout, right? Yeah, verse 31 will put it, right? So when the angels hear the shout of that trumpet, and they're going to what? They're going to gather together the carcasses, the elect, those dead and the life which were hid in a Mashiach. Verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened and the moon shall not give her light, because with the chariot that the Lord coming with, going to be so much bigger than the earth, it's going to be able to block out the sun, as Second Ezra puts it. He couldn't see the end of it upon the hill or mountain whereon he had graven. He couldn't see the end of it, so it was bigger than the whole earth, right? Right, shall not give a light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, which is not just his chariot, but also the shuttle ships. So he had the father ship and then the shuttle ships that he's coming with. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And verse 31, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, And what the angels of the Lord Yahweh are thousands. Sorry, the chariots of the Lord Yahweh are thousands, even thousands of angels. So the Lord angels and the armies is not just literally the angelic beings, but also the chariots. And they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven even to the other. So what? How are they going to be saved? Ultimately is through the Lord Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai by his chariots. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, and that you were edified. In closing, we like to say, Kal halal yamla Yahweh Ba'ashem Yoshai Ba'ashem Rucha Kodash, giving double honors, double unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who surely do rule well. To the men standing by the highways and byways pushing this doctrine, I like to say Shalom. And even unto the sincere Aqua, the sisters who sit listening these lessons in silent subjection and obedience unto their husbands, I say Shalom. This was your brother Maya Sha'ala, and until next time I say Shalom.